but just even that belief in God, it gives at least some purpose. I mean, without God, if everything is material and everything exists, then when you die, that's it. And the best thing you can do is accumulate, to your best of knowledge, what pleases you materially.
That's right.
And that can be the only thing. And there's no basis for, and it'd be very interesting to get your comment on this. No basis for really having a morality, except that civilization, the only basis would be civilization cannot exist without some form of morality. I mean, you've got to have some order.
That's right.
There can't be total chaos or nothing exists. But it seems to me like without any faith that there could be no purpose.
That's right. All we're left with is social convention. And that's what I saw not only in studying the great philosophers of the world, the great texts, but that's also what I saw in the lives of my professors. I remember my main mentor was sleeping with one of the students, got her pregnant, paid for her abortion. I was cheating on my girlfriend, and so I went to my philosophy professor and I said, "Is it wrong?" And he said, "Well, as long as you don't get caught." And so the consequences of our actions are the only reasons why we wouldn't do anything. Social convention, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And God knows that too.
Yeah.
God knows that a life without Him, we're left with just the moment. You live, you enjoy life, because tomorrow you die. In fact, the book of Ecclesiastes really is a book that affirms the existentialist conclusion of life. If there is no God, life under the sun, if there is no God, then what we should do is live for the moment, live for our pleasures, because tomorrow we will die. And that was my conclusion. Now,
do you believe the Rick Warren's purpose-driven life, the reason it's sold so much is because there is secularism, materialism has left basically the American public empty, and people are searching for purpose? What's your read on that? I mean, because it's sold millions, and it's sold millions of copies.
It's a profound book, but you read it, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah,
it's pretty basic. And I think, what we see in that book is an affirmation of what we all feel in our heart. We have God's thumbprint on our heart. And we know that there's a God. Even when we try to live our lives outside the boundaries of God, we find that it doesn't work, and we find that there is an ache in our soul that draws us back to our Creator. So when you have a book like The Purpose-Driven Life that provides a paradigm, that provides a grander picture of what life could be like if there was purpose, we gravitate toward that because that's what we were created for.
Now, okay, let's get back to your story. Okay, so you were at this place in this class, and and the lack of purpose and meaning. Go ahead. What happened then?
So I turned that paper in, which was basically my statement of existentialism. And I remember walking out on a cold December day. It was the last day of class, and a blast of cold air, Michigan December air can be chilling, and it just smacked me across the face. And with that blast of air, that same voice that spoke to me when I was 6 years old in the bathtub, that same voice asked me a question that changed the course of my life. And the question was this: if you really believe everything that you've just written in that paper, then why are you trying to do anything? At that point, I was one of the founders of a national black fraternity, one of the chapters of a national black fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. I was the big man on campus. I had girlfriends. I had money because I worked various jobs. I had all A's in college. I was on the dean's list. But God's Holy Spirit came to me and said, what is the point? What is the purpose if then tomorrow you will die? And I didn't have an answer for that, but I knew that, if that was the case, then I should really think about this. At that point in time, I was living off campus. I was living on a street that was infested by crack cocaine, very frequent drive-by shootings. There were 21 homicides within a 1-mile radius around my house that very year. And my family was broken. I was broken on the inside, and I was just in despair. And I didn't have an answer for that question, so I thought, it was a logical conclusion. I just thought, if that's the case, why don't I just kill myself? And so I was planning to kill myself, but I knew out of all of the deities, out of the possible gods that were out there, it was the Christian God that I had to worry about. The other gods I might have a second chance with, but this Christian God had something to say about the afterlife. And so I went on a quest. I did a strange thing as an atheist. I began to pray, and my prayers were, the kind of Burger King American prayers. I didn't want to offend any possible God, so I would cross my arms and I would say, "Dear Allah, Buddha, Krishna, whoever you may be, he, she, it, reveal yourself to me." And that was my prayer life at that point in time. And I wanted to give God an opportunity to make his peace with me, to make himself known to me rather, before I killed myself. And I was very arrogant, very haughty, and looking for God to reveal himself to me on my terms, in my time, all the while planning to kill myself. And really, nothing changed in my life. Now looking back, I know that God was speaking, but not the way I wanted to hear him. So it really all came to a head December 24th of 1989. I took my girlfriend to see the opening of The Little Mermaid. I believe it was the opening night, and I'm sitting there in this movie theater. It's packed out, 400, 500 people in this movie theater watching this cartoon. And this is how you think when you don't know the Lord. Here we are on the verge of a national Christian holiday in a Christian nation, and all we're doing is entertaining ourselves to death. This is all that there is. There is no God. There is only The Little Mermaid. And if that's all we got, I'm certainly going to kill myself. So I dropped my girlfriend off and got my little red sports car with the gold wheels going about 90 miles an hour down the freeway in Detroit. And my plan was to smash my car in a viaduct near my home, just smash it up as hard as I could. And as I got the courage up and I approached the viaduct, fully intending to kill myself, I went for the viaduct, and a power outside of my own, a desire outside of my own, took hold of that wheel and steered me clear from my death at that moment. And I still didn't know who it was. I didn't know he, she, it, Buddha, Krishna, Allah, but I knew that something miraculous had happened, and I was too tired to think about it. So I went home and I collapsed in a cold sweat. I just fell asleep. I woke up on Christmas morning. And this will go to show you that God speaks in mysterious ways. He uses all kinds of ways to get our attention. My brother, who is not a Christian, was home. He was actually staying on campus at the University of Michigan. And he had brought a large picture frame of the poem, Footprints in the Sand. And I had read that before. I dismissed it as a childish, a childish poem. But this time, right before reading that poem, I was in the other room, and I prayed a different prayer. For the first time in my life, I prayed a prayer of desperation. I knew something miraculous had happened the previous evening. And I said, God, if you're there, I have to know now, because I'm at the end of myself. There is nothing left for me. I'm going to kill myself, and I need you to reveal yourself to me. And that's a different kind of prayer, a prayer of desperation.
Yeah. Yep.
And so the next moment, I walk into this room, and here is handed to me this poem, Footprints in the Sand, and I heard the same voice that spoke to me when I was 6 years old. The same voice that spoke to me when I was outside the University of Michigan. That same voice spoke to me, said three things that have changed my life forever. He said, number one, I do exist. And that would have been enough for a philosopher. If God exists and my life's purpose is found in him. But he went on, he said, number two, I'm the reason why you exist. And number three, I'm the one who kept you from killing yourself last night.